There we go.
All right. I may just waste a little intro before you got here then. I don't know if they heard it or not. So I'm going to redo it. This is your boy GDDG, a.k.a. Ghost Dog, here with BussThemGuns, a.k.a. BTG. Bringing him on today just real quick to kind of talk about 2011s and some of the work we do. I did recently just purchase a budget 2011. No one has seen it yet because the video while we're recording is not out yet, but by the time this comes out on my channel and BTG, I'll make sure I'll share this to you so you can share it there as well. But I did end up picking the Mac 9 5-inch up.
Okay.
Yeah. All guns
Now
that we are
is that
showing.
the comp?
That is the comp. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mac 9 DS comp 5-inch version. And so I brought you on today because I started following your channel a couple months ago after finding you on RG's channel and knew that you had started doing a lot of different work with a lot of different 2011s, mainly the Kimber, but I know you have other ones there as well.
Yeah, I mix it up. So most recently the Kimber, but I got a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So let's do this. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself or on my channel who may not know you. There's several on here that do, obviously, but there are going to be some that don't. So tell them a little bit about yourself and how you got into the game and what you've done so far.
Yeah, well, as far as the YouTube scene, I was pretty much just a consumer. I started the channel, I think it was like November of 23.
Okay.
But I had been behind the scenes, just kind of doing my collection, doing modifications on what I had, and just building the firearms, but mainly just for myself. That's how it started out. I mean, I've been in the guns like forever, since a kid. You know, I'm prior military. So as a kid, my dad was an avid hunter. So I've been around guns my whole life. Gotcha. So, yeah, but once I start amassing the collection, I say, well, I might as well do this YouTube thing and just kind of share what I'm doing. And that's kind of how the channel came about.
Got you.
Yeah.
Your channel has been pretty successful. Was nominated. Congratulations on your nomination for ARM 6.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. For Snob of the Year nomination.
I know that I'm under the radar. It's them big dogs that's Snob of the Year.
Are you under the radar? Okay. Yeah. I thought you were Snob, but yeah, under the radar. That's right, under the radar. But congratulations on your nomination. By all means, just getting nominated is a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. It's just nice to be recognized.
Yeah. So 2011s, 1911, 2011s. Give me your history of what you know about them. Let's talk about it a little bit more, and then I want to get into then after that, what we can get into how we can make improvements because you own a Mac 9 as well, right?
Yeah.
I remember correctly. Yeah. So you can talk from your experiences with your purchase of your Mac 9 and some of the things that I could be looking at to improve on mine as well.
Yeah, the platform itself, I mean, it's the new wave of the 1911. And that's where I cut my teeth on. You know, I EDC the 1911 for a long time. In the military, that was my sidearm until they switched to the Berettas. So I'm very familiar with that platform. So once I got into collecting, I was reluctant for a long time to even get into the 2011s because I just saw a 1911 as a 45 ACP. Mm-hmm. So I didn't immediately warm up to the 9mm side of things.
Okay.
But as I got further into it, then I got intrigued with the 9mm side and just what you could do with it.
Okay.
So the budget side of this thing, because initially you see it as a high-end item because that's how it came onto the scene. Mm-hmm. Staccatos, if you're just starting out collecting firearms, that was like the top of the ladder from an everyday standpoint because I started out collecting striker fires with a few 1911s mixed in there. But once the budget items came on the scene, it made it seem a little more obtainable. Mm-hmm. So then I jumped onto that with the Match X and the Mac 9 kind of around the same time.
Yeah.
And then just start building off of that platform. But finding out that out the gate, they were pretty decent shooters. For the money, they were real good shooters for the money.
Right.
and with some minor tweaks, you could have yourself a pretty nice firearm without breaking the bank.
Right.
And that's kind of what intrigued me, and that's what I wanted to jump into, especially for somebody that can do a little bit of it themselves. You can get a lot out of those platforms without having to put a lot of money into it.
Okay. So somebody up my level, obviously I just got into the firearm game a little over a year ago personally. Never really tinkered with the parts or anything like that. My level of probably, I haven't even put in my own optic yet, personally.
Okay.
I'm going to do this on this one. But so what should I know or what should I learn prior to trying to make any real adjustments to a firearm such as the 2011?
Well, with that Mac 9, because it's specific to the item as far as the direction that you want to go. With that Mac 9, you've already got a nice chunk port on there. That's extremely effective. Not all chunk ports are effective. Some manufacturers are throwing them on there and they're not really giving you the result that it could. Some of them could be a lot better. But with the Mac 9, that chunk port is pretty effective.
Right. So for those who don't know what they're talking about, that's this right here, this big chunk port. Because I'll have a lot of new to the 2A or people who are following who are thinking about getting into the 2A who have no idea what we're talking about if I don't show them. So
okay. That's cool. Some people call it a comp. Some call it a chunk port. This is in the case of the Mac 9, it's a chunk port, but call it what you want. It's as long as you know what you're referring to.
But maybe call it that because it's done through the barrel, right, or through the
Exactly. So with that particular platform, the next step as far as recoil reduction would be to port it. Now for the Mac 9, you already have the cuts in the slide, but the way those cuts are done, to port through those cuts, you would really need to cut into it a little bit because they're not really high enough to get a good angle. So that's why you see most Mac 9s are ported inline on top.
On top, yeah. I've seen some that had them right long here.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what you see most common because you can do that without a lot of machining. And it's personal preference as well. If you don't mind cutting into that slide a little bit, then the V ports work good as well. I V ported mine. I didn't really cut into the slide, so mine really look a lot more horizontal than an upward V, but they turned out to be fairly effective. I wasn't really sure how they were going to turn out. It was kind of a last minute thing right before Arm 5 because I had the gun. That's when it was getting coated. And my guy had it. I was like, just go ahead and throw the ports in there because I don't want to not do it, and wish I had since you've got the gun.
Right.
So put them in there and it was actually effective. But a lot of them that you see, they'll be inline ported on top with like Pedro at Tampa Gun Works does the K5 or a K9. I think on most of the Mac 9s, he might do like a K5, which is 5 ports up there. Gotcha. But that's extremely effective as well. And that's pretty much where you want to be on recoil management. Spring wise, I run 8-pound recoil springs in most of my units. And that's been good for me.
Yeah.
Some people
talk a little bit about that because again, I'm still kind of new to it. A lot of my people are going to be still kind of new to it. So talk about like the recoil. There's 2 different springs in here, correct? There's a recoil spring and then there's a main housing spring.
Exactly.
I'm pointing at it like you can see it, but like so there's a recoil spring in the slide and then there's a main housing spring in here. Correct? Okay.
Exactly.
So we're talking about the spring in here.
Right. So for the recoil spring, I think the Mac 9 comes with like a 12-pound spring.
Right. I think you're right.
And some people are okay with that. It depends on your application. People that may use these for competition, that may give them the return to zero that they want based on the load of ammo that they're running. So it can be specific to your application, what you want to run with. For me, I'm not shooting competition. I'm looking for a lighter rack. I don't need it to be as light as a 7-pound, but the 8-pound is good for me. 9 is manageable. Some people run a 9. 9 is a pretty common weight, but I prefer the 8. I think that's kind of like middle of the road for me. So I run an 8-pound recoil spring, And then for the mainspring, I do 17 pounds.
Okay. What if, so I'm thinking about getting into competition shooting with this gun. At the spring it's at now, you're saying I possibly could be okay with what I'm shooting with right now.
Yeah, that spring might work for you. With the competition, what you want to do is trial and error. You want to run both and see what gives you the result that you're looking for as far as return to zero based on the ammo that you're going to run.
Gotcha. Okay. So then if I were to, and speaking of it in competition purposes, if we kept the spring, so the spring probably would stay the same more than likely. Let's talk about what's some of the first things that she would change. I know that I looked at it, obviously outside of this grip that is, we all know is super slick on this.
Right.
I'm just gonna put a cover over it. I bought a handle it grip cover.
Okay.
I'm gonna just throw over it for now. And eventually, as I start making changes, then I'll probably change out the entire grip itself as I get a little bit more comfortable with shooting it.
And that's kind of where I am on mine. The grip is the last thing that I'm going to change. I've still got the factory grip on there. All the other changes for me have been kind of performance based, with the grip being the last thing that I'll change.
Gotcha. So did you change out your guide rod? Your
no, I'm still running that tooled guide rod, but that's an easy change. A lot of people put the toolless guide rods in there. So that's a quick and easy change.
Okay.
But I haven't changed mine as of yet.
So tell me, what's the first thing have you done any work to your Mac 9 outside of the porting?
Yes, I changed the internals on mine just because I wanted to have a different trigger. But I didn't change the ignition kit. So mine, because those parts in there are not necessarily MEM parts.
Right.
And what is MEM parts in there are decent parts. So you don't have to change those internals. I changed the trigger, but I'm still running the same sear, the same disconnect, the same sear spring, hammer. I just polished those parts up and I adjusted the sear spring to give me a lighter trigger pull.
Okay.
And I changed the trigger only because I wanted a different look. But the trigger that comes in there is a decent trigger, so you don't have to
pretty decent trigger.
And
you get three of them, so you get a small, medium, and large.
Exactly.
And I obviously haven't touched this one yet because I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't want to do it yet. But I thought about maybe changing this to a blue, just for aesthetic purposes, a blue trigger, and maybe a blue magwell. And that's just something that's more of a, that's not a need, that's a want. So it's not.
And that was the same thing for me. That was, I changed my trigger strictly as a want. It definitely was not a need.
Right.
You'll get a more comfortable shoot by adjusting that trigger weight down, because I think it comes around, maybe I think mine was like around 4 pounds, 4.5 in there.
About 4.5 pounds. It's still lighter than most of my striker fires.
Right, exactly.
Because I haven't touched those. But yeah.
But for a 1911 double stack, that's considered heavy for a lot of people, unless you're using it for duty.
Right.
Yeah, so I took mine down to around 2 pounds, just over 2 pounds.
So what kind of level of knowledge would someone need to have in order to do the work on their own versus taking it to somebody and getting it?
You know, it's so much information online that you can look at, like Hayes Customs. They have videos out there on adjusting the trigger weight, the sear spring. If you just Google that, adjusting sear spring weight, 1911 or 2011, because it's the same concept, you'll find loads of videos that walk you right through it. Because you're really just bending the lever, because those are just metal springs in there. And it's 3 levers. The one all the way to the left is the one that's controlling your trigger weight, and you're basically just bending it back. But it's kind of a technique to it of where you want to bend it. So, but looking at those videos, you quickly understand what you need to do, and you just do it a little at a time. You do it, throw it back together, check the weight. If it's where you want to be, you're good. If it's not light enough, you bend it a little bit more. And if you go too far, then you can just bend it back.
Okay. So it's not a case of, oh, I messed this up and now my gun is trash.
Exactly. Nah,
Okay.
nah. You can go in either direction with it, so you can't break it.
So this could be, if you wanted to learn, this could be your learning platform that you could learn on while taking YouTube
Definitely.
University and kind of going forward from there.
That's right, because it's all metal parts. You can't really break anything in there.
Okay. Okay. So for those who've never experienced, because this is my first hammer fire gun, talk to me the difference of how it feels to shoot, because it's hard for me to explain it because I'm still new to it. But the difference of shooting a striker fire versus shooting something like this.
You know what? One of the biggest difference is the trigger pull, because the striker fire trigger, it's a hinge trigger, so that's just a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
And normally, I mean, even on light striker fire triggers, you're probably talking 3.5 pounds.
Right.
So for this, it's a whole different experience to shoot a 2-pound trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so relaxing because you're not inputting any movement into the gun to implement that trigger pull.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that light. And you'll get used to that, and it just allows you to have more consistent shots. Now, with the recoil is what's more mind-blowing, because you're used to the snap of that striker fire.
Exactly.
And when you shoot that 2011, even the most basic, like a 1911, that's something, I mean, a Mac 9, you can pick up for $1,000. So that's entry level. Yeah. But you compare that out of the box to almost any striker fire, and it's mind-blowing if you've never shot one before.
Right. It was.
Yeah, it's impressive. And it only gets better with the enhancements. And it can get to the point to where it's like a cheat code. Like once you port that bad boy and you lighten that trigger, it's going to be a whole different experience to where you feel like you're cheating, especially if you're used to shooting striker fires. You're going to be like, man, this almost seems like it's not fair. The consistency of the shot, as long as you're good with the red dot, I mean, you're tack driving with that bad boy.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to get to. I am trying to get used to shooting with the irons, just because I found myself getting super lazy and throwing a dot on everything I own. So well, that's my I want to be too. Better as a newer shooter.
I'm old school. I started out with iron sights, so I try to set up a co-witness on everything that I'm setting up.
Yeah, I did just watch a video about you co-witnessing, working down some of the parts to co-witness better.
Oh yeah, on the Kimber. Yeah,
which was very interesting to watch. And I was thinking, no, there's no way I can do that today.
but that comes with time. And I have a mechanical background. I mean, I grew up working on cars, so I've been working on stuff for a long time.
Got you. Yeah, the mechanics is not my background.
Okay. It'll
I tinker with things, but I've never been that. I was never that kid who took things apart and put it back together just to see how it worked. That wasn't me.
Man, that was me.
I took it apart. It was apart.
That was the first thing I did when I got anything. I took that bad boy apart, completely apart. Yeah,
got you.
So
got you. So yeah, what I see you have a Dremel on that video. I'm assuming that's what you also use to polish the parts that you talked about on the inside of the Mac.
Most of my polishing I do by hand. I don't do a lot of Dremel polishing. A lot of people do, but I do most of my polishing by hand.
And when we're talking about polishing, like I hear it. It sounds like, I'm thinking, spray something on it and wipe it down like a table, like how you polish the table. But we're not. It's different in that aspect, correct?
Yeah, it's different with these, like the internal parts. Those are small parts. Right. So those, I think most people do by hand because they're just so tiny and intricate, right?
Okay.
But some people will still put a small.
What are we using to polish then?
Well, the polishing is a process. You're actually starting, for myself, with sanding. And I'm starting with, like, if I'm looking to polish something, I'm starting with like 1,000 grit or 1,500 grit sandpaper. Some super fine, super light. And that's mainly just to clean that metal up, get any burrs off of there, and just kind of clean it up. And maybe take some of that, if it's Cerakote, take some of that coat off of there, but get that surface really smooth. And once I've got that, then I come in with the polish. And the polish could be, I use Mother's. like Mother's aluminum wheel polish.
Okay.
That's what I use, and that's more like a paste. And I also use white diamond. That's like a liquid.
Okay.
But those are the two polishes that I use. But
Okay.
with these parts, you want a glass-like finish because the smoother they are, the smoother your action is going to be.
Okay.
And the
All
more
right.
friction you're going to eliminate. And I do that with the rails, like my Mac 9. When I got it, I did the rails on the frame, and I did the inside of the rails on the slide.
Mm-hmm.
And you
I've
want
also
to do
seen
it
some
with that.
people.
Like,
The disc was just a disconnect is what it's called, I believe. I've seen some people polish that up really good and also kind of fine it down or round it out because I guess the earlier models were the disconnector was catching. It wasn't
well,
wasn't wasn't
well,
smooth as people liked.
mine was definitely catchy when I got it.
You got one of the early ones though, right? You got
Yeah,
one of the
exactly. When they
even the
first
ones where
dropped.
the screws, like even the screws on the
Yeah,
object were
yeah.
bad, right? Okay.
So I ended up ordering the screws, and they sent new screws out, the ones that they came out with the replacements.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent those out. But yeah, my disconnect was pretty sticky. I polished it. I sanded it down a little bit. You just want to be careful because it's not a whole lot of it sticking up out of there anyway. So you want to be careful about taking it down. What a lot of people do underneath the slide, that piece that disconnect is encountering, a lot of people polish that up real good as well and get a nice glass-like finish on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then for machining, they have what's called the marvelous cut.
Okay.
And that's where they actually cut like a ramp into that piece on the slide where the
Mm-hmm.
disconnect interacts with.
Right.
And that prevents that disconnect from catching. It just
Catching.
slides
Yeah, and
right in.
I think I've seen a few people do that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
So
different ways you can do it, and it just depends on how much hang up you're getting. A good polish might just resolve it.
all right. And then who do you find the best place to get parts from for the if you need to like change out recoil springs and things like that? Where are the best places to go? I know Atlas is one.
Atlas is a good place, but eBay is a good source as well because they'll
Okay.
have a lot of parts from the different manufacturers. Like Wolf springs or Good Springs,
Okay.
and you'll find those right on eBay. And springs are not expensive no matter where you find them.
Yeah, and I noticed that. I thought when I heard, oh, I got to change it. Maybe I might have to change out this recoil spring. I started looking. I was like, oh, these are not the price I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, they're extremely reasonable.
And then I heard people say something about an EWS kit
EGW
or EGW. Okay.
EGW ignition kit. Now that's changing your internal. So that's going to come with a sear spring. That's going to come with the new disconnect. It's going to come with the new sear, and it's going to come with a mainspring.
Okay.
And as well as a hammer.
Okay.
So you're getting all three of those, and those are usually a 140, 150, depending on where you find them, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, I think that's what I see them just kind of posting through some of the sites. As I was thinking about picking this firearm up, I started like looking around, like, okay, if I'm going to change this, where would I find it? Atlas obviously was the number one thing that people talked about, so that was one of the places I went to initially.
Yeah, I think one of the perks with Atlas is I think they give you the hammer strut with their kit as well.
Okay.
You don't get a strut with the EGW kit. Not that you need a new strut, but if you're getting a strut, it keeps you from having to try to knock the pin out of the one that you have in order to reuse it. Because on some guns, it can be difficult. Like on this Mac 9, I couldn't get mine out. I tried. It was in there good. So I don't know if anybody else had that experience. So if you're going to change the hammer, you want to get one with the strut. So you don't even have to deal with that headache.
Great. And then as far as like tools and things like that, I mean, I'm seeing things and like, okay, what tools would I actually need? And it sounds like most home tools might be enough depending on what you have.
Yeah, depending on what you have. With these guns, a good punch set is a must.
Okay.
Because you're always knocking a pin out somewhere.
Yeah.
So a good punch set is a must. A Dremel is a must because you're going to find yourself needing a Dremel for a lot of things if you're tinkering with them.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be a super expensive one. They're fairly reasonable too.
Okay.
You don't want to
And
go
then,
too cheap because they can burn up, but you don't have to break the bank on
got you.
them.
So
If you're not handy, a torque wrench is good. One of those
I,
small torque wrenches,
I just
so
picked
you're
one
not
up.
over torquing. Yeah, that's a good item to have. Messing with these optic screws and things like that.
Yeah, because they require to be torqued down to a certain pound.
Right.
And you want to make sure you got it there. You don't want to over torque it and strip or
Exactly. And
strip
some of these
through. And yeah,
screws, depending on what you're mounting, like on that Kimber, it uses that plate system that has the tiny screws. So you definitely, because a lot of people were complaining because they were snapping them off.
right.
So something like that, you can over tight, but if you're torquing it to specs, you're less likely to snap them off. But yeah, so a torque wrench is good to have. I do a lot by feel, but just because I've been working on stuff for so long.
Now I know a lot of guys on their regular striker fires will run those hundreds, if not 1,000+ rounds before they even think about cleaning it. How often should you clean your 1911, 2011 handgun?
Bruh, I'm old school. I clean every time I leave the range.
It doesn't
I
matter
don't put
what
my
you know.
I can't put a dirty gun away. It's just, and that's part of my upbringing, just watching my dad, because they would go hunting. And what they would do when they came back is sit out whatever they were hunting for. They would clean that, skin it, and they would clean the guns. That was the process. And in the military, when you go to the range, when you come back, you can't turn that gun in without cleaning it.
Without cleaning it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a habit for me. When I come from the range, first thing I do is clean the guns.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to.
Right.
Some people will go longer. But yeah, it's just I'm borderline OCD. So yeah, I got to clean mine when I come from the range.
Soon as you get done hitting, and then so a lot of people though, like I watch your channel, but what would you say? How many rounds have you shot roughly in just the last, we'll say 2025 total range visits, all your handguns and everything? How often do you go? How many rounds would you say you've probably shot?
Man, I post every week, and most of the time that's range footage in there. So some weeks I may not get there, so I'll do some in-house content. But mostly I'm hitting the range each week, and I'm shooting no less than probably 500 rounds each outing because I'm taking multiple guns.
So
Sometimes
if you take away a few weeks there, yeah, that's a lot of rounds.
Yeah, sometimes I'm doing videos for a couple of weeks, so I may be skipping that next week. But each range outing, I'm shooting. It's rare that I shoot less than say 500 rounds. I'm trying to cut back because that's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. Do you find that you're doing more because of content creation, or was that you always went to the range that much and you always shot that much?
Yeah, I kind of, with the 2011s, you tend to shoot more because you want to run the gun fast. When I was just running the striker fires, I didn't tend to shoot that much.
Okay.
But with the 2011s, speed is the thing. You're double tapping, you're running it. So for me, I just tend to shoot more ammo with those because it's just more fun. Some of it is content, but some of it is just fun. You just want to run them bad boys.
Right.
With me, the content creation definitely pushes you to shoot more. When you're doing comparison and things like that, you want to show a good comparison. You don't want to go in there and shoot a couple of magazines and say this is what it is.
Right.
So, but I'm looking to cut back because that's quite a bit. 500 rounds each outing is quite a bit. And I don't have an ammo sponsor. If I'm able to pick up an ammo sponsor at some point, then that's a different story.
It makes it a little bit different if you can pick up an ammo sponsor for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't have any sponsors, so
well, same here. I mean, I get some products for review, light optics, things like that. But other than that, everything that you see on the channel, those are my pieces.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's the best way to go, especially early on, just because a lot of people think there are a lot of shields out there, and you don't want to be roped into that. So if you can say, look, I spent my own hard-earned money on this, and so here's the review. If it's a great review, it's because I think it's really great, and if it's a bad review, it's because I really think it's really bad.
Yeah, and I'm not beyond. I mean, I'd like to get to the point where I'm getting firearms sent to the channel, but that's not
Mhm.
going to change my review process.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. No. But it's good to start with building that trust with our community before
Yeah,
we get to that point. Yeah.
exactly. And the pieces that I'm picking up, some of them happen to be the new hotness, but I'm usually picking up pieces that I have intentions to collect and just have in my collection.
Right.
So that's what's driving what I pick up. Like I've got a running list of firearms that I want to have in my collection. And as I go on, I get sidetracked here and there if something hot drops, that I like. But for
Mm-hmm.
the most part, I'm trying to run through that list and add those firearms and then dress them up accordingly. And hopefully people like them like I like them. But,
Yeah.
everything is not going to be a hit for everybody. But
Yeah. You should send me a picture of all your Kimbers on your little spinner thing. So because those look so clean. I
yeah,
could use that as a computer background or something.
that Kimber it's a nice firearm. When it first dropped, my intention was to get the Coyote in 9mm and 45.
Okay.
That unit in both. But it was just so hard to come by that I just kind of got sidetracked, and then they dropped the Eclipse. So I was like, man, I really like this one. So I
Mm-hmm.
grabbed that up, you know, and kind of put the Coyote to the side. I was like, well, I'm gonna rock with this Eclipse. But then they came out with that Royal. I
Yes.
was like, oh yeah, this and their Pro model. I was like, this is it here. I mean,
Yeah.
no, they came out with the Coyote in the Pro.
In the
With the
Pro.
full bust cover before and a quarter. I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
shit, I like this one. I can go ahead and get the Coyote in this here, right? And
Right.
when it came in, because I told him, but he ordered the Royal because we had talked about so many guns that he got mixed up, right? Because we had discussed
Uh-huh.
so many different ones. So when I went to pick it up and took it out the case, it was the Royal. I was like, man, this is not the one.
It's not the one I
But,
wanted.
but when I saw it, I was like, damn, but it's nice,
Yeah.
And and then
Hey.
he happened to have the Coyote there, the full
Mm-hmm.
size.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a dilemma. So I was like, man, I ended up taking the Coyote, but I thought about the Royal all night. I called him first thing in the morning, and I was like, yo, hold that Royal for me. Hold that for me.
That's a man who did not make a promise to his wife that he was only going to buy one firearm this year.
Hey, I'm glad she don't watch the channel close, because I did
Man.
that's for sure.
Ooh wee! Look. I bought that Prime without her knowing, and I don't think she found. I bought it in end of June 30th, the last day of June. I bought it, so essentially July, and she didn't find out about it until November. And when she found out about it, I got a little side eye for, I would say, the next 5 or 6 hours easily. About how could you not tell me about this? I'm like, it wasn't that I didn't tell you. It's just that you seen it, you just never asked. So
I just didn't really get into it.
I didn't really get into it until today.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, the firearm thing, it's a fetish, it's a passion, but it's not for everybody, so everybody don't quite understand it. But, once you get into it, it's a bug.
For sure.
Yeah,
I caught that bug pretty quick. Caught it pretty quick. So any last things that you want to share about to me and or to the audience who will be watching at some point about the Mac 9 or 1911s, 2011s in general that are just standard information that we share?
I would say get what you can get within your budget and don't feel bad about getting that.
And now they make them all. We call it budget friendly. It make
I mean, $1,000 gun is not a cheap gun. Yeah,
not cheap, but
it's not.
In the aspect of that world, $1,000 is a drop in a bucket.
So that's where that concept budget is coming from. Only in comparison to what we've known as the 2011s prior to now. So it's budget in the sense of that, but it is by no means a cheap gun.
Right.
So get what you can get that you're comfortable with, knowing that where you start doesn't have to be where you end up. Correct. It's plenty of upside to these guns, and that's kind of the fun of it. building them out to your preference. And it
Yep.
doesn't have to be done overnight.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
you can work on these guns over time and do what you can do in the time span that's comfortable and that works for you,
Mm-hmm.
and still shoot your gun along the way, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've done. I'm constantly modifying different guns, but there's no need to do it all at once. Like the Match X. I mean, I've done quite a bit to that Match X, and it's in its final upgrade now. I'm swapping it out to a steel frame and finally putting an aluminum grip on there.
Oh, okay.
But that'll be the final change for that. But that gun I've had over a year,
Mm-hmm.
So take your time, do what you can do when you can do it, and just
Right.
enjoy it. Don't stress yourself out. Don't
Yeah.
worry
Don't
about what
stress
the next person has. What you got is what you got until you get something different.
until you get something different. Yep. And since I've been in this, that's what I told myself was I could drop the 2,500 for the 2K11. I could. I just didn't want to. I have other priorities that I wanted to get taken care of first, but I did want to get into the platform. And then when this started popping around on the scene, I was like, oh well. I was like, they make a 4.25 and a 5-inch version. And I was like, I would think I'd like the 5-inch version for me personally. And
Yeah, I'm more of a full size guy as well.
yeah. So I figured, and I said, let's give it a run. I told the wife, I said, look, I'm only going to buy the one. She's like, she didn't even ask me how much it was, which for her, if I told her how much it was, she'd be like, that much for? But when I explain to her and I show her the differences, when I take her to the gun range with me, we'll swing by the counter and I'll like, oh, look, there goes that Kimber that I shot. And I showed her the price. She was like, oh, I was like, yeah. And I was like, here's another one for this price. And here's a staccato for this price.
Mm-hmm.
And, now if I told her what I spent on this compared to those, she might be a little like, oh, okay, that's a little bit more reasonable for that.
Exactly.
And then I can take, I'm from what my understanding, I could probably take about $300 to $500 and pretty much make it as good as most of those next level.
Exactly. The Mac 9 is an awesome platform because you're starting out in a great position. Because out of the box, it runs. It runs and it runs real nice.
Great.
And it doesn't take a whole lot of enhancements. The first thing I did to mine was adjusted the trigger. Mm-hmm. And it just gave you a whole different feel. I mean, I worked the rails and things to smooth it out, and I adjusted the trigger before I did anything else. And that just made a world of difference. Just that simple.
Got you. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your afternoon. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's NFL playoff weekend. We got games coming on a little over an hour from now. I don't know about you, but I like to be in front of my TV, chilling, watching them.
Get some downtime. Get ready.
Get some downtime. Yeah. This video for us is, like I said, it's the 18th of January, but it'll probably come out early February. For this video. And then if you have anything that you want me to add in, well, do this for me. Tell the people where they can find you, all your platforms, because I watch your videos, so I see all the platforms I can find you on. But
so BussThemGuns is my handle. I'm at BussThemGuns on Instagram and Facebook, and obviously on YouTube. I've got some content out there on Rumble. Not a whole lot, but I did.
I found your Rumble, and I kind of looked. I seen that, but I was like, so I followed you on Rumble.
So I'm on there. I need to add some more stuff on there, but I'm not heavy on Rumble. TikTok, every time I put something up, they take it down, so I just stopped trying.
Yeah, I don't. I only fool with I don't even do shooting clips on there. I just do showing the gun or showing a product, and that's it. And I don't really fool with TikTok.
Yeah, even for that, for me, they've been taking it down. So I just, and what's crazy, what I've got on there that they allowed to stay up is shooting stuff. So
really,
I mean, I can't figure it out. But yeah, I'm out there at BussThemGuns on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Rumble. I've got a lot of content. I get into it all. I'm pushing these 2011s now, but I've got the Striker Fire. I mix that content in there. I'm into building the ARs, so I do it all. So anything you're interested in, check out the channel, float down through the history. You'll find something on there on it because I'm a gun enthusiast. I'm not just one platform. I like them all. So I shoot them all. I build them all. My most recent striker fire, I ported my SIG P320 at DH3. I put V6 ports on that bad boy, and when I tell you it shoots flatter than any 2011, I kid you not. Because that's a big argument. Can the striker fire shoot like the 2011?
Can the striker fire shoot like the 2011?
Yeah, this bad boy is flat. I ran it with my 2011. That's how impressed I was with it. I said, man, I got to shoot it with the other guns, and that bad boy is super flat. So yeah. So check the content out. If you got any questions, hit me up on there. I'll respond quickly. I enjoy the interaction. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. You hit me. You told me find you on IG, and when I did finally sit down, I was like, okay, let me catch him on IG real quick. It was like you instantly hit me back, so I appreciate that. You were actually my first guest on this channel that I've had.
Oh, that's cool.
Outside of people I've shot with. So you're my first guest like this. I'm going to have more content like this. So for those who are on the channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, click the button. Subscribe.
Hit that button.
Hit BTG up and hit me up. Hit the subscribe button, bell for notifications. We're gonna be dropping content all of 2026. I can't wait to meet this guy in person at Arm 6.
Arm 6 is gonna be a blast.
And then if you aren't voting, you should be voting. But vote and check him out for the Arm 6 this is the regular gun guy.
Regular meetup. Voting opens on the 20th, so Tuesday,
20th of January. So by the time this comes out, it'll already be up.
Yeah,
I'll try to put the link in the description so you guys can click it and vote. Your boy's not on it this year. I plan to be there next year.
Hey, with time comes growth.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you. I'll be hitting you up throughout, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, anytime. Hit me up. Any questions? I appreciate it.
All right,
guys.
Peace.